Welcome everyone to History Gone Wilder, part of Have History Will Travel. I'm your host, the Wilder historian, Dr. Lucas Wilder. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Join the Patreon page and purchase something from one of my online stores. Every little bit helps. Thank you. We must now return to Virginia, where the words that Robert E. Lee uttered to Brigadier General John M. Bowdoin of his cavalry, instructing the cavalrymen to guard the valuable wagon train full of supplies and wounded back to the Old Dominion. M. Bowdoin wanted to set out early on July 4th, but it wasn't possible to get all the wagons ready by then, so it moved out about 4 p.m., giving it a head start ahead of the infantry that would follow. For most of July 4th, the majority of the two armies glared at one another. George Meade sent out his cavalry to harass Lee's wagon trains, but neither side was completely sure the fighting had ended at Gettysburg. By nightfall of July 4th, Meade's army hadn't moved, and Lee felt it was safe to start pulling back. A.P. Hill's corps led the retreat when they started toward Virginia in the evening of July 4th. They took the Fairfield Road, headed west. Stuart's cavalry guarded the flanks against the Federal cavalry threats that lingered around the region. By the early morning of July 5th, all of Lee's army was on the move, with Longstreet's corps in the center and Ewell's corps performing the rear guard action. By 8 a.m., John Sedgwick's 6th Corps was on the road nipping at the heels of Ewell's Corps. By the end of the day, all but the shattered 1st and 3rd Corps were on the roads heading out of Gettysburg. M. Bowdoin also had the Confederate wagon train at Williamsport, but heavy rains and Federal troops had destroyed the pontoon bridge across the Potomac. M. Bowdoin began the task of securing flatboats and started ferrying supplies and wounded across the river. Also on the 5th, Judson Kilpatrick's cavalry fought Stuart's horsemen, who were guarding the roads the army was moving on and protecting the flank of the defeated army. Stuart fended off the attacks and Kilpatrick pulled back. The Confederate infantry trudged through the mud produced by the rain and hundreds of wagons and thousands of men and horses taking the same roads. When July 6 dawned, Longstreet's corps was now in the lead of Lee's army, headed for Hagerstown, and Kilpatrick attacked Stuart again at that same Maryland town. John Buford's cavalry were headed to Williamsport to attack the wagon train before it crossed the river. Failing to dislodge Stuart from Hagerstown, Kilpatrick joined Buford in attacking the wagon train. The attack took all of M. Bowdoin's skill. He handed out rifles to 700 wagoneers and wounded men to help fight off the Federals. The Blue Horsemen pulled back when darkness covered the field. By this point, Longstreet was 2 miles beyond Hagerstown, with Hill close by. The Federal infantry moved slowly that day, some not at all. On July 7th, Stuart continued to battle with the Federal cavalry to keep them away from Williamsport and from slowing down the Confederate infantry. Lee's infantry moved to the vicinity of Hagerstown and threw up fortifications in preparation for an attack by Meade, but none came other than the cavalry testing the area. The Army of the Potomac was all on the move that day. July 8th was the day of rest for many of the rebels, but that gave the Federals ample time to continue their pursuit. From the 9th of July to the 12th, Lee consolidated his troops around Williamsport. It was irregular, but the line was strong. Lee didn't think the flooded Potomac River would fall anytime soon, so he worked his engineers to create a pontoon bridge across it. But that would take time, made even more desperate if Meade attacked. Meade called a council of war on July 12th to discuss whether they should attack the Confederates. Their backs were on the swollen river, and they had been bloodied at Gettysburg. He asked his subordinates, was now the time to strike. The majority of Meade's council advised against attacking the position. They believed it was too strong. Meade couldn't order an assault that so many of his commanders were against. Longstreet received orders to move his divisions across the Potomac River at Fallen Waters at dusk on July 13th. By July 14th, all of Lee's troops were on the move across the river. During the movement, the Federal infantry and cavalry started toward the river. Kilpatrick attacked Heath's division as they were waiting their turn to cross, and in the melee, James Johnston Pettigrew, one of Henry Heath's brigade commanders, was mortally wounded. By the end of the day on the 14th, the Army of Northern Virginia was back in its namesake state. The Gettysburg campaign came to a close, with the Confederate Army making it across the Potomac River before Meade decided to launch an all-out assault on their lines. It was a murderous campaign for both armies. Lee, the Old Gray Fox, lived up to his nickname and sidestepped the Army of the Potomac and was nearly into Pennsylvania before the Federals left the confines of their winter quarters along the Rappahannock River. The Union Army rushed their weary feet to catch up to them, performing hard marches through the summer heat. George Meade was a corps commander when the campaign began, and Joseph Hooker was the Army's commander. Abraham Lincoln replaced Hooker with Meade mid-campaign, and Meade stepped up to the position as best as any general would be expected to do. He immediately grasped the importance of the moment, located all parts of his army, and prepared his newly acquired army to do battle with their rival. The battle could have taken place anywhere across Maryland or Pennsylvania. When A.P. Hill's corps engaged with the First Corps outside of Gettysburg, it set everything into motion for both armies to concentrate on the crossroad town. 3 days of fighting where Lee tried to dislodge Meade from his position failed, and Lee retreated back into Virginia, with the casualties immense. The Union lost 23,049 men, 3,155 killed, 14,529 wounded, and 5,365 missing and captured. The Confederacy lost 28,063, 3,903 killed, 18,735 wounded, and 5,425 missing and captured. Casualties combined from both sides totaled 51,112, making it the bloodiest battle of the war. Despite the enormous loss of life, both armies were still very intact and had fight still left in them. Outside of the Eastern Theater, William S. Rosecrans' Army of the Cumberland pushed Braxton Bragg's Army of Tennessee back to Chattanooga on the Tullahoma campaign, and Ulysses S. Grant and the Army of the Tennessee laid siege to the garrison at Vicksburg, Mississippi. The summer of 1863 was a morale boost for the Union, as they won victories and pushed back the enemy on nearly every front.